On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a huge win against the Boston Celtics and prove one thing. Still missing something. Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to be here.
Explain yourself. Sorry.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer. Making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Joining me, as always, the Postgame prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Max Christie, baby. I'm enjoying me some Max Christie, and I'll just enjoy the 20 games before he's traded. So it's just going to be a great 20-game stint.
Today's episode, we will try to enjoy the win as much as possible. Mavs get a win against the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about the bench, Dinwiddie, Naji Marshall. Naji Marshall coming back into form?
Yeah.
We'll talk about the game from Max Christie. Some great stuff, proven a lot to a lot of Mavericks fans. We'll talk about Klay Thompson and his heater. Well, let's start here slightly. This game showed me one thing, and I think you agree with this. What we said about the trade deadline and the Mavs making a mistake not getting another ball handler is totally right, because this team could be close.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were saying after the trade. You know, once we got a little bit more level-headed and took the Luka part out of it, was like, the team is still pretty good. It's just, I don't think it's a championship team. Reason being is I think they're just lacking a creator. And I mean, tonight I felt that way because you watch him play defense, you watch him fly around the court a little bit, you imagine PJ, you imagine Lively when he's healthy, you imagine AD into that mix. And it's like, man, this is going to be a sick defensive team. And I know you might look at the final score and see, well, Boston 120, they had a 126 offensive rating. Like that wasn't a great defensive performance by the Mavs.
They're three best defensive players.
Without the three best defensive players, but the Celtics had a patented Mavericks fake comeback there in the fourth quarter, 37 points to pad the numbers a little bit. So I thought it was a really good defensive performance by the Mavs. And it's just, man, if they really need one more legitimate on-ball creator, one more to be a little pressure valve release for Kyrie and AD when he gets here. And man, if they had that, I would feel so much more confident about this team this season. But that doesn't take away from a really impressive win tonight where a bunch of guys really stepped up in a major way and played really, really well.
It's wild that was the conclusion you came to and I came to too, watching this game, was that they need another ball handler because it was such a good Dinwiddie and Exum game. Dinwiddie until the end. But Dinwiddie scored really efficiently, 22 points, 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Like efficient across the board. Good scoring Dinwiddie game off the bench. You also got 15 points from Exum, hit 4 threes, had 5 assists as well. Like you got what you could get out of those two guards, and those two guys are the ones that are going to need to step up in this next stretch for the Mavericks and show that they can do any kind of playmaking. So I don't know, maybe they can just get enough out of those two guys. Because Kyrie, I didn't think he had a great game. I don't even think he had a good game for his standards necessarily. Got to 19 points, had 4 steals, but just really struggled. Was like 2 of 9 in the first half in this one. And so I came away thinking, man, the win felt really good, but man, they are just like one more piece away. And maybe Anthony Davis changes that because he does score in a way that the Mavericks haven't had in a really long time, right? And a guy that can score as a big that isn't just a big that just only can get spoon fed, right?
Right.
Gafford has kind of been a revelation where, you can dump the ball down to him, and then all of a sudden he gets like AD can do that in different ways and even at an elite level. And so maybe that changes some things too. This game, though, Klay Thompson gets off of that heater early on in this one. Was awesome to see Klay Thompson get going because we talked a lot about ball handling and all that and creation, but the Mavs are going to need to create some shots and opportunities for Klay Thompson. They got that going early. He had 25 points in the game, and he had 10 points in that first quarter. Felt good to see him get going early. He had 10 points in the first 4 minutes of the game, just hitting them off. And then to start the second quarter, he had pull-up jumper, jumper off the pick and roll, turnaround jumper, hit another shot. Then he got doubled, and Naji Marshall got a floater off of it. Then he hit a left wing three, had 21 points with it at the 7:27 mark in the second quarter. Like, he was just on a heater, and the Celtics had to bend to him.
Yeah, and I'm happy that it feels like they figured this out with Klay, although it's a little annoying it's taking this long, where it's let's get Klay going early off some of the looks that he really likes, coming off screens, catch and shoots and stuff. And then that gets him going. And so when he does take the, those going left little pull up fadeaway jumpers, or takes the one dribble pull ups or whatever, those shots go in at a higher rate. It feels like, just because he's more in a rhythm and he's seen the ball go down. Whereas at times throughout the season, they haven't gone to him early enough, and he's trying to force those shots to get himself going later in the game. And those shots are just much less efficient. So I don't know. With Klay, I feel like we know Klay, it's either like, it does feel like he either has a really good game or it's kind of the opposite. And I feel like we just like look too much into it sometimes. And sometimes it's just, the shots went in tonight, and the other nights they just didn't go in.
The thing with him, though, is he only hit 3 threes. It wasn't like he was just bombing from three.
A lot of self-creation, too.
These were shots that he was kind of creating a little bit, coming off of some screens. And I think with Klay, the thing that I'm learning, and it's going to be more and more true now in the post-Slovenian era of the Mavericks. Should we say his name?
The Slovenian president.
Yeah, Kyrie called him my Slovenian president. I thought that was really funny. That Klay's offense has to be intentional by the Mavericks. You're not going to luck into Klay Thompson offense. You're not going to stumble into Klay Thompson offense unless it's a drive and kick from somebody else. Like, I think Max Christie had a drive and kick, and Klay Thompson was the beneficiary of it. But you're not going to luck into those very often. You're going to have to be intentional about his offense. Kind of the same with Gafford. Got to be intentional about how you get him the ball, where you get him the ball. And I think that's something the Mavericks will have to do now that's different in this era of Mavs basketball.
Yeah, and something that'll help him too is AD's going to see too. AD's going to draw a lot of double teams and a lot of help. So he should get good looks at threes just from passes out of that, or the ball getting swung and the defense being in rotation off of that. So that'll be exciting to see. That was the idea with Luka in a lot of ways, right? Was those scenarios where Luka's going to post up in C2 and Klay could be a pass away or something. So that's going to be exciting, and that'll help Klay get some better looks, because it's been over a month since he's played with Luka, like a real legitimate attention drawer. And I know Kyrie draws double teams and stuff like that as well, but like AD is going to be doubled, not at the level of Luka because nobody in the league is, but he's going to see a lot of double teams.
Yeah, he's going to see him. And for Klay, he also started to get some of that attention. When I mentioned the defense kind of like had to shift to him, that there's a couple times where other guys benefited from that gravity and from Klay getting those double teams. And he was just so scorching hot that the Celtics had to throw some extra guys at him. But the Mavs are going to have to, it's weird, with like the Mavs that were really good at playing off of the double teams of Luka, they're kind of all gone. Like we've cycled through all of them. This is a different Mavericks team than the ones that saw the doubles for Luka 2 years ago, right? Like it is different now. But so they're going to have to either relearn that or just remember how they did that with Luka when you get moments like this. And I thought they did well off of the attention Klay got in games like this.
Yeah. And you just imagine how that gravity could also help AD just operate with a little bit more space. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all sort of works out, because the Lakers have had good shooters next to AD, but Klay and Kyrie are sort of different space takers on the basketball court. So I am interested to see how it all plays out, and I am excited about it. I mean, I know all the circumstances suck, but I am excited to see how this plays out and how it's going to. And we know defensively what it's going to look like. It's going to look pretty good. I mean, probably right away, if we're being honest. Offense might take a little bit, but I'm excited to see how it works.
Yeah, like you're going to replace Kessler Edwards with Anthony Davis in the starting lineup. I mean,
PJ's going to come back in. Like this is going to be a good defensive group. Like it most certainly is.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those where you have to just, all right, I'm just gonna appreciate what I've been given. It's like okay, this is the cards that we've been dealt. If you're gonna stay a Mavericks fan, you're gonna still care about this team.
Yeah,
this is it, right? Maybe it won't feel the same for you, but this is the team. This is the team you're gonna get now. And
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I feel great. I felt like I felt how I would expect to feel after a Mavs win on the road against the Celtics. Like I didn't, I wasn't like, oh, well, I guess they won. Like I'm happy about that. Like I felt legitimately happy. So, I guess that's just where I'm at.
I got a lot of comments on my post-game video. It doesn't matter. Luka's gone. It's like, okay. I think a lot of people will feel that, and I'm sure
that's fine.
Make it known. But hey,
that's fine. There's nothing wrong
coming
with
up.
I would say for your mental, it might be best just to go. If that's how you feel, it might be best just to actually move forward.
I've seen some on like the Thunder subreddit, like pick the Thunder or like a different team, and other teams welcome the refugees from Mavericks fans.
I'm the only Mavs fan who can go to the Thunder because I've gotten so much flack for giving them props over the years. I'm the only one who could do it if I wanted to.
There's a lot of Mavs fans that live in Oklahoma because they didn't have a team for a long time. But
true.
Coming up, Max Christie, a legit player for the Dallas Mavericks. What can he do? What role? What did he show in this game? Talk about that and more. Come on. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can get the financial favors of the 1%. You can now enjoy VIP treatment, receiving 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of a high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year for first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8% of the national average saving account interest rate claim is based on the data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners, for listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to get text alerts and text me and Isaac questions about the Dallas Mavericks, about what they're going to do the rest of the way. You want to get text alerts on game day. We'll send notes all throughout games and stuff like that. Subscribe to the Locked On Mavs Insiders. Our text line, 214-643-8637. Help support the show. Appreciate all of you guys for doing that. All right, Slightly. Max Christie. Played 30 minutes off the bench. Part of that bench crew that scored 57 points for the Dallas Mavericks, which is just great. One of the reasons why we're excited about this win is because the Mavs have some real depth. 15 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, and he didn't hit a 3. Max Christie was kind of billed as this 3-and-D guy, and I knew he could do some other things, and I knew he was going to be a legit player, and his defense was going to be legit, but man, like Isaac texted me in the middle of the game, he goes, man, Max Christie, like legit, could be a starter at some point. Like I kind of see it.
Some point, I imagine starting lineups this year where he's starting at the 2. Like that would have to lead to some uncomfortable conversations, but I mean, he does kind of the prototypical starting 3-and-D 2 guard in this league, right? Like he's not a star. He doesn't have the self-creation juice that some guys across the league do or anything like that, but he defends really well. Been really impressed with how he fights over screens so far in just the limited time that we've seen him. And think about his covers so far. Like he guarded Maxey against the Sixers. He spent time. Yeah, like Tyrese Maxey. He spent time guarding Jaylen Brown tonight, guarding Jason Tatum tonight. Like the Mavs immediately, he walks in the door. And granted, a lot of that has to do with their injuries and just the guys who have been missing, but they've entrusted him immediately with some of the more difficult covers in the entire NBA. And I've been really impressed. I really have been impressed by what I've seen. And that's what I expected. Like I said on here, every single Lakers person in my life said the exact same thing. And that was, you guys are going to love Max Christie quite a bit. And you can just tell he has that role player. He's that type of role player where he does all the dirty work. He plays really hard, hits a couple big shots a game. And you're just like, man, I love this guy. Like he just does all the stuff that you want a player to do.
He is in the genre of like the Josh Green, Quentin Grimes, now Max Christie.
He's better than Josh Green, and I love Josh Green.
No, so I saw our friend Dalton Trigg posted, it was Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and it was Josh Green, Quentin Grimes, Max Christie.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Pretty on. Like they keep leveling up at that point. Max Christie had a run at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, where he had a drive on Hauser and got it with contact The very next play, he had a drive and kick to hit to an Exum 3. He then had a cut off the inbounds, and Kyrie hit him off the inbound, got that dunk at the end of the third quarter. Beginning of the fourth quarter, he missed a floater, but got his own rebound and put it back real quick. Like his ability to get off the floor is real good. Then he had an and one off of a Gafford screen. Like that was just such a good run, end of the third, beginning of the fourth. And that's what you need. You need to string together good plays. These role players, when you have moments and you have opportunities, you've got to take advantage of it. And there were times in in past Mavericks iterations where the role players couldn't take advantage of moments like that. Yeah. Where, all right, you're given a shot and okay, you can't do anything with it. All right, well then now Luka's got to bail you out. Now Kyrie's got to bail you out. And it's good to see guys like that and see Christie in just his second game for the Mavs already fitting in so well.
Yeah, and when we talked at the top of the show, you don't go out and get a secondary ball handler. It's going to be up to these guys to make plays like that over the course of the game in the aggregate to sort of replace that. So it's good to see. And I know for a fact we're going to love this kid. Like we just are. It's the type of player on your team that everybody falls in love with. And you probably end up overrating as a fan base, but it is just like on he's 21 years old on that contract that he's on. I mean, it is if you're still here and you're digging through the rubble, it is like finding the watch. It's like, oh, thank God there's something of value here.
It's still in the box.
There's something here. Like, thank God I still have this. So that's exciting and moving forward that he's here. So it's funny watching this game is, Dinwiddie played great. Klay played it fantastic. Naji, those floaters are just that floater might be back.
Godly.
Huge. Exum playing like this, it's like, man, I don't know. Like if this was the squad in the finals last year with Luka, like it plays out differently. It just does.
I was gonna save this, but Nico Harrison, when they got Klay Thompson, literally said they were a Klay away. They felt like they were a Klay away in the finals. What happened between then and now that made what transpired? Because watching this Klay Thompson against that Celtics team, and I know I want to acknowledge Celtics played terrible in this game. This was an awful Celtics game. I'm not saying this Mavericks team played toe-to-toe with the best that the Celtics could offer, right? Like that's not this. But the Mavs just played well. And yeah, it was just it reminded me of that quote that Nico Harrison said, and it just befuddled me again.
I still disagree with that quote. I just thought they got their asses handed to them.
I didn't think it was true either, but the GM said it, and like maybe he was just gassing up Klay, but maybe you're a Klay and a Dinwiddie and an Exum if he could play in the playoffs. Right?
He couldn't have said what he actually thought at the time. We were just a Klay and an AD away.
What he really wanted to say was, look, we brought in Klay, and this is great, but our superstar's fat, and we just can't win with this. That's what he
really said. That this summer we're an Anthony Davis away, and everyone's like, wait, what?
What the? Well, you'd get fined for tampering if he said that. God, what a weird state this is.
Yeah, no, it's strange. It's going to take some time for sure. Just be like, okay. But I'm telling you guys, here's what's going to happen. Saturday, I'm hearing all of these people that are like, man, the crowd's going to be so crazy. It's going to be all of these chants, F you, Nico, all this. I'm like, man, the moment AD dunks a ball, it's just going to be thunderous applause the whole game. Have you guys been in the American Airlines Center? Like, that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be families, and it's going to be the corporate guys that are there with their work group.
They'd be like, oh, they traded Luka. That's crazy, right? And then
they're like, hey, Anthony Davis, that's the unibrow guy, right?
There is a protest, and I'm interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Won't know. I won't know.
What? You're not gonna go?
No.
You should be leading it. You should be the front. You should be standing up
I'm
with
not,
a bullhorn. And
that'd be hypocritical. I'm not protesting the team. I'm watching them still. They're like, I mean, I disagree with the move fundamentally. Absolutely.
You should start. I'm trying to think of what chants they could do. This is what a superstar looks like. This.
He's not fat. He's not fat.
Bring him back. He's not fat. What other chants could they do?
He's not fat. Just a tiny overweight. That's how I always describe myself.
Oh, man. Bring him back. Maxie, too. I don't think they're going to do that one.
I don't think the crowd would go for that one. Everyone's like, I don't know about the Maxie part.
What is going to be funny about that? I'm fascinated to see how well attended this is. It's going to be funny to see how many people leave the protest to go in to watch the game because they have tickets.
That is a little. I'm interested to see the.
Is it a protest?
One or two ways. There's either going to be like 14 people.
Yeah,
It is just going to be sad, or there's gonna be hundreds of people. I don't really know. When you get a commitment from Twitter, that doesn't mean anything.
Was it Allie LaForce? Did you hear the Allie LaForce report
Yeah.
that Jason Kidd said that the Mavericks were concerned about the safety of their players? I'm like, we've lost the plot, or somebody is spreading a story that is completely false, because I don't think the players are getting any heat in any of this.
I'm sure they've gotten I'm sure that they've gotten enough messages that they're like, all right. I mean, there was a hashtag that I cannot say on air that was going around.
Thank you for not saying it.
That was like, oh, all right. This is like a little too extreme for me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anything would happen to anybody, but I'm sure they got enough stuff where they were like, okay, let's chill out. Like if this were a political, national convention, we would shut it down.
Do you think they would shut the game?
Dude. Like they probably got enough threats. Okay.
They should move the game last minute to like Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. just like throw them off.
I call these things 20 sources because they're 20%. I have a 20% chance that they're accurate, so I never relay them.
That's exactly the kind of journalism we do on this show.
Yes, but I did hear from someone who I won't say where their position is, but it's not like in the front office.
Mark Cuban,
it's like
loyal listener to the show.
Ticket stuff, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've gotten bomb threats."
Dang.
Yeah. So, which I mean, I don't know. I never understand. Like, oh, I got a bomb threat. I got somebody like a threat against my life. Like, what does that mean? What was said?
Yeah.
I've always wondered, because there's a difference between like an outright threat and like a Twitter, I'm trying to be funny thing.
Right. The only way to move on from that is coming up. Let's talk about Naji Marshall. And do we have any theories about why Jaden Hardy's just not getting any time at all? Let's talk about that
I
more.
do.
Let's talk about that more. Come on. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. If you are one of those people that is going to be in the protest, but also wants to go to the Dallas Mavericks game, go to Game Time and see what tickets are available for you. They got the Game Time picks that shows you exactly what it shows the best deals that you could get right away. You can go and see exactly where you're the view from your seat. You can see what you're going to pay at checkout with the all-in pricing. Deals right now, you can get into this game for $31 right now on Game Time. Go check out and see how you can get deals. There's deals for like lower bowl, really close for like $230. If you want to say stuff to Nico Harrison up close, and go ahead. I mean, be my guest. Go ahead. Do it on Game Time though. Go check out. Best part, Game Time's lowest price guarantee covers you. They'll refund 110% of the difference if you find tickets cheaper somewhere else. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly. Naji Marshall, 20 points off the bench. He had 19 points against the Sixers. Do you know when the last time Naji Marshall had 20 points in a game?
God, it had to be in December.
It was November 27th, before the plague. Pre-plague, Naji Marshall had 20.
God,
had 20
that
points.
was that long ago when he was popping off like that?
He's had 19 twice against the Sixers, and another time he had 19. So it's close.
God,
enough.
that does not feel like that was long ago.
But still, it was that long ago. And also, in this last week, it's felt like a month.
Yeah.
Luka said that it's felt like a month to him too, which is crazy. But Naji Marshall, 20 points, had the floater was going, hit a couple of threes, 3 assists too. I just love what I saw from Naji Marshall. And these last 2 games make me feel like, all right, if the Mavs can get that Naji Marshall back, PJ Washington the way that he was scoring, and get less of that because you don't need as much of it, but get some of that, get Exum and Dinwiddie. Like, I think this team can cobble together enough offense to definitely like win some games and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Naji was such an important piece of this team early in the season. So, and then I'm open to just straight up attributing his like downtick in play and getting sick and then being in and out the lineup and then the 5-game suspension. Like all of that to me, I'm cool with just saying is because of all of the strange stuff. But it's in games like these against defenses like the Celtics, who we're missing Drew, who's obviously an all-world defender. We know that. It looks a step slow this year, but still a great defender. But outside of that, still one of the better defenses in the league without him. And just that ability to get in the paint and have that floater in his arsenal that keeps defenses honest, that gives you an option scoring wise, and then opens up, the opportunity for defenses to collapse in and you can kick out and go from there. So yeah, Naji, getting back into this mode would be huge moving forward. Huge.
Massive. Just the floater.
Defensively, he's been really solid the last couple of games as well.
Yeah, defense. I'm still waiting for the Naji breakout. Like I feel like at some point it's gonna click for him, and we're gonna go, "Oh, that's the Naji."
A 5-steal game or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or he just locks somebody down, and we go, "Oh, he just spent the whole game and locked Steph Curry up," or something like that.
Yeah, I mean if you can get that out of him with Max Christie and AD,
and PJ,
would be big.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's a combined forces thing where all of a sudden AD will unlock Naji, where he can make some more. He can make some more risks. It takes some more risks, or he doesn't have to feel like he has to defend a certain way. And so I don't know. Maybe it'll unlock everybody. I'm sure. Kyrie even mentioned this in his postgame that AD is going to cover a bunch of mistakes for the Mavericks defensively.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Mavs are going from a player that covered all their mistakes offensively to a player that covers all their mistakes defensively. It's like a very big shift in identity and what the Mavs can do.
And then you think about Lively coming back and being healthy. Yeah. I don't know if that'll be this year or next year, assuming AD's still here. I mean, I don't know with Nico Harrison what's going to happen in the summer, but you have two guys who can make up for your defense's mistakes, manning the paint. It's going to be interesting. I am interested and they are good. It's just my question is, are they a championship level team? Because that's what you did. You just said our championship window is this year, next year, maybe the year after.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Hardy gets 0 minutes in this game. Kessler Edwards starts. You got some 14 Omax minutes. The theories about Hardy not getting any time at all in a game like this.
My theory?
Yeah, you said you had one. I'm curious of you.
We're being lied to. Obviously, we're being lied to about this trade in a lot of ways.
Obviously.
We're being lied to about kids' involvement in it. We have to be. Every single Bucks fan that I follow on Twitter is like, this just reeks of kid.
I saw our one of our Locked On Bucks hosts, Frank Madden, say that same thing too.
This just reeks of kid. And then you look at everyone who's playing and it's like, okay, I mean, everyone who's playing minutes for the Mavs right now, outside of Kyrie, and we've made this joke before, they think Dinwiddie's a good defender. But everybody outside of Kyrie, who Kyrie has his moments, is like a solid defensive player.
Kyrie can be solid for sure.
Yeah, Kyrie can be solid. Let me rephrase that actually. Doesn't have massive miscues defensively where you're like, what was that? What happened right there? And again, that's how we talked about this last year with Tim Hardaway Jr. Spencer Dinwiddie's the same way. They don't view him defensively the same way that we do. I promise you that.
Yeah, they've put him in, defense only lineups,
yes,
defense subs, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't understand the Hardy thing. There's the other thing where it could be they wanted to up his trade value a little bit, so they were playing him, and now.
I mean, are you really surprised he's not playing?
I just thought in a game like this, you only play 4 guys off the bench. You played Kyrie 40 minutes. You just need some kind of offense, but
Exum's also back and playing really well.
But then they also couldn't close this game. One of the big issues with this game was with the fake comeback.
Yeah.
Celtics put in their third string guys. Their Drew Peterson. Do you guys know that's a player?
That got legitimately kind of spooky.
Jordan Walsh. They had Hauser in there, and then they had Peyton Pritchard, who was a legitimate NBA rotation player. Could be 6th man of the year this year.
Yeah, for sure.
But they had the other guys in there, and it went from a 27-point game to a 10-point game at one point. And the Mavs couldn't put in any of their end of the bench guys because the lead was just dwindling down. So maybe that's part of it too. But I just found it interesting. We got 2 games in a row of Hardy D and PCD.
Yeah. I
probably Exum back. Exum back is probably the biggest, maybe only reason.
And he likes what he's seen from Kessler Edwards. We know that. Christie's in the fold, getting 30 minutes in his second game.
Love that.
This. Yeah, Naji's back and playing well. This Kyrie's now gonna have to play 40 minutes a night, unfortunately for him. It's just running out of ways for Hardy to realistically get on the court.
Yeah, and this is without your 3 starting front court players, AD and P. But AD and PJ come back. There's no room for that in that rotation.
We've also got this whole time without mentioning Caleb Martin will play for this team when he's available. So
there's just no more minutes there. I mean,
man, there's going to be a good basketball team on the court. It's just there's going to be frustrating games. There's going to be games where they end up losing because down the stretch they just didn't have enough juice offensively.
Yeah. But can they get enough stops defensively? That's the thing.
That's the thing. 8 turnovers tonight. I mean, that's huge for the Mavs.
Celtics had 7 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Mavs had 8 total.
I mean, that's tremendous. That's a great job. Great job.
Yeah. Great work there. Great work. Yep. Everybody all around. Great work in this game, honestly, for the Dallas Mavericks.
They looked really good. I mean, they really did. That was like the first half was some of the best basketball they've played. I mean, probably the best basketball they've played, all things considered, since Luka went down with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've had wins here and there, and they've had, good wins. Don't get me wrong, but on the road against the Celtics, like they looked very crisp and good cuts and good passes. And the second quarter of the game, they had 12 assists and 0 turnovers. Wow. I mean, that's great offense right there. So just a great win, honestly.
Dinwiddie and Naji, 20 points off the bench, both of them. Mavs PR said it's the first time in 2 seasons that the team has had 2 20-point scorers. It's just the third time in 14 years they've had 2 guys score 20 points off the bench.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, doesn't happen
Love
very
that.
often.
I feel like you're going to see some good bench performances.
Oh, the way you looked at your phone, the first thing I thought of was that there was a trade, and I was like, "Oh wait, no, I don't have to be scared of that anymore."
Audio was coming up, but the way it sounded, it sounded like it was coming up from above me. So I was like,
the planes are dropping. Drop. Oh, there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Go check out Slightly Biased, great YouTube channel. All kinds of good stuff all the time. I was watching his trade deadline stream. You're going through it. You're reading between the lines on tweets and the Johnny Amadoro tweets.
Last hour, I was on like 3 hours of sleep, and I was exhausted. Hour 7 of the stream.
So funny. Check out our Locked On Mavs text line. You can get text from us. Check the QR code for different ways to follow the show. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. We'll be back tomorrow with the post press conference episode. Should be good. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.
If you want to win, put Luka in.